Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody out there in Radio Land. My name is Metal Ed from Global Metal Machine and more recently Neighbour of the Beast on Scudley Radio. I have ventured up to Mandurah this evening to have a bit of a chat to a very good friend of mine and very talented musician. So without further ado, please make some noise for Mr. Glenn Herbert. Take a seat, Glenn.
Hello, mate.
How have you been, mate?
Pretty well. Just cruising along, writing all the music, trying to cross the T's and dot the I's with all the things I've been doing.
Yeah, well, look, we've got about 20-25 minutes to have a bit of a chat, so we're going to touch on a few things, but many of you probably know Glenn from Beautiful Cartel, and also more recently his acting performance as Lenny in feature film Anticipation. So we're going to touch on those things shortly, but first of all, Glenn, through these very difficult times as a musician, this COVID-19 really got us all by surprise. There's been full lockdowns on the music scene and venues, not just around WA and Australia, but globally. How has this affected you, and how have you been staying proactive as a musician in a creative and productive manner?
Well, it's, in a sense, it's stopped my income, which is okay. I think it's stopped everyone's income, and there's a lot of people going to be way worse off than me throughout this and the economic crisis or whatever. But me, I don't know, I just like to sit around and wear my octopus beanie, maybe smoke a few blunts, just kick back. I've lost a lot of gigs and whatever else, so I'm not really generating much cash. I do a little bit of Facebook stuff, so I'm doing live feeds.
How have the live feeds gone? That's pretty new to you?
It is. It's good. I mean, really great. But I'm a bit of a spare of the moment person, so I need to promote for at least a week or so before I do something, instead of just going, hey, I feel like playing today. I'm going to do a live broadcast and hopefully people are just going to watch it. It's hard if
Can you talk a little bit through somebody like myself that isn't a musician like your good self? Can you sort of let us know the difference between playing in front of a live audience and playing a live streamed show? What sort of anxieties come with the live stream?
For me, I think a lot less. I've gotten pretty used to being in front of the camera and just, it's there kind of thing. Whereas live shows, depending on the crowd and how the show's moving and the night and everything, I think that can have a lot more things kind of go wrong or make you anxious. Whereas, I don't know, I like the live feed, honestly. I can be who I want and just relax, and I feel people are a bit more chilled out. You're just at home or wherever, doing your thing. Little backdrop, it's the elephant.
Were the good folk, the people out there getting behind you?
Well, yeah, getting there, man, getting there. But I really want to start to travel. I think, I love the Western Australian music scene and stuff, but it's been depleted in different ways over the years. We've lost a lot of festivals. Now with the COVID-19, live music festivals I'm talking about, they're pretty much all gone. There's a couple left, but they're not really, rock and alternative music and whatever else. So that's all gone now, most of it, I feel. And now with the COVID-19 things, it's really clamping stuff down again. That I don't think there'll be any festivals going on for at least 6 months. As well as the arts grants around here, it's just disappeared, man. They're not giving them out. So I think, as sad as it is to say, Western Australia, it's been systematically torn apart in a certain way, to just, I don't know if it's intentional or what, but anyway, I think you need to go abroad if you really want to get out there and make music.
It's definitely not a good situation for anyone to be in at the moment, but being from West Australia, the music that this state produces and has always produced is top quality and would go toe to toe with worldly music anywhere. But It's just a really difficult scene because we're so isolated, and sometimes it's a little bit fractured, and the eye of the beholder is honestly most of the time being the problem. Is that, you know, the people in the scene have got to stick together a bit more, and
Yeah, absolutely.
because the music's next level. But look, Glenn, I've just quickly got to ask you about your album Frisian. Is that how it's pronounced? Is it Frisian or Frisson?
Frisson.
Frisson. And first of all, can you tell us in your own words what that means?
It's that feeling you get when you get goosebumps from a song or a film or something, you know. It touches you in a certain way, and you know, you feel kind of pins and needles or whatever from like the inside out, and that is frisson is the French word for it. We don't have a word for it, so that's why I've gone with that word, because I hope to, you know, I've written an album that's very out there with lots of different styles of music, and I hope to, at least with one song, you know, give somebody goosebumps.
Look, we'll touch a bit more on this album because I'm very blessed to. I've had a copy of this album for a while now, and I've heard these songs many a times because me and Glenn are pretty close, as you guys know. And look, this is one of the best albums that is still unreleased, and everybody that has heard it is really sort of holding on to anticipation and excitement for the release of the songs on this album. Can you give us a bit of an insight on what your plans are from here on in with the album, and what has been the hold up?
Well, I kind of spent a long time, you know, 5 years creating an album that I felt really spanned my musical genres and the different things I can write in. I love the science of music and all the different styles, so I've learned, you know, heavily acoustic, rock, fair bit of kind of funk, you know, along the way. I've learned how to make electronic music. So I put that all on one album with 12 different songs, and over that 5 years it kind of, it cooked me a little bit. So at the end of it, I was just a little bit burnt out by it. I'm sick of hearing it, and it's beautiful, it's brilliant, I love it. It's really, really like everything that I could wish it could be, you know. It's been mastered by King Willie, I think it's King Willie Sounds. He did Gautier's album, somebody that I used to know. Eskimo Joe's album, what was it, Black Fingernails, Red Wine, and some really other big artists. So having it mastered by him, and, you know, just even the comments I got back from him it kind of blew my mind. So anyway, it got to me. So I went on holidays to Thailand for a bit to just defuse and go onto my next steps, because I've been acting and doing other stuff and doing really well with that as well.
Before we touch on the movie, just want to talk a bit more about the fact that Beautiful Cartel on this debut album are genre defying. There is no way to categorize what you do, because from one song to the next, it's almost a whole different flow and a whole different feel. And can you tell us what's inspired you to touch on all these different genres and bring them together to create this wonderful album?
I love the science of music, I really do. I love all the different flavours and all the different people and all the different ways that all kinds of music makes you feel, you know. So I'm someone who's found it hard to stick with one genre throughout my life. I'll learn a bunch of stuff and write great songs, and then I'll kind of move on to the next thing. So in the end, this was the collective. After like 20 years of writing and learning, it came to a head in writing this album and putting it together over a 5-year period. So to me, it's just, you know, the biggest thing I've ever done and could do, you know, at the time with the resources and everything that I had.
Well, you've done an absolutely wonderful job, Glenn, and many of us can't wait for this album to be released, whenever that may be. And you do have a lot of support behind you. We love what you do. So look, we're going to mix it up a bit here now and change the subject away from music slightly and talk a little bit about your acting career. Can you tell us how this started and some of the things that you've done since you took that step into acting?
Well, it just came about kind of out of nowhere. I was in the studio with our guy Pete Renzulo recording an album, and you know, he just got a camera and we started doing a few things and put together something that ended up in St Kilda Film Festival, like quite high up. I flew over there for it, but you know, we didn't win, but got told, get better equipment and you might have a shot at this. So I've kind of come back and told Peter this, and he's gone and bought a really good camera. And then next minute, you know, I'm the main actor of a music film or a music-based film about, you know, a guy called Lenny Schiberto. And what do you do when the biggest thing stopping you is you? Really, in the end, and that's, you know, there's so many other underlying kind of feels to that movie. But
the movie is such a personal and emotional roller coaster, and I was blessed to be in it also. But look, I've got to ask you, Glenn, you've done such a magnificent job in the role, the main role of Lenny Schiberto. How much of Lenny Schiberto's character was drawn from you, Glenn Herbert, the person?
Well, it was just drenched in it, really, like myself in, I guess, younger years, and I don't know, not believing in myself and being a bit shy, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm not sometimes these days as well, you know. But Lenny was, you know, a very troubled, you know, individual, and a lot of that was me, you know, using my own reflections on myself throughout the years to help portray that character and help carry out that story. So yeah, there's a lot of, you know, what I've gone through, even though it's maybe not situational sometimes. Definitely the feelings there.
You're going to play us a bit of music shortly, but first of all, leading into this song, have you been writing any new music? We know all the stuff from Freemen besides Goddess is unreleased still. So besides Freemen, have you been writing new music, and what sort of tunes have you been writing lately?
Well, they're always a bit varying, a bit out there. Lately, I wrote a lot of stuff when I was in Thailand on holiday. Just was hanging out, you know, reggae bars and listening to a lot of reggae and kind of funk music and soul and stuff. So I felt heavily influenced by that. So I've written a lot of different stuff to what I've already, you know, got on my first album, Freemen, and even my second album coming up, which I'll mention a bit about soon. I've just really, I don't know, I've tried lately to step away from like the darker music for a little bit, at least, you know, and get some more kind of upbeat kind of tempos and positive feels going on, you know. Like I'm very good at writing feeling and dark music, so the new stuff is, you know.
You've spoken about maybe mixing some electro sounds and maybe some dance music in with the rock tunes and the other different genres that you do toy with.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at, you know, really getting into that. That's where Beautiful Cartel was kind of headed in the first place when I started it, but it kind of was, I was learning electronic, and then I went from trying to mix the two to all of a sudden not playing guitar anymore or other instruments, and just making electronic stuff that was basically club based. So what I'm trying to do now is really mix that knowledge with the knowledge that I had, you know, for writing music on, you know, acoustic instruments or real, you know, real instruments, I guess, you know, guitars, basses, whatever, tunable instruments. I just want to mix it all together. I just want to see, you know, I think with a band, you know, it's just about being really talented at the instrument. With electronic, it's being about very talented as well, but you can take music as far as the eye can see, you know, and I think that's kind of important if you can mix the two together.
And on that note, I'll let Glenn grab his guitar, and he's going to play us a little tune. So if you want to grab your guitar there, Glenn, we'll talk more with Glenn straight after this. What is this little song entitled that you're about to play for us all?
I'm just thinking what I should play, you know.
Okay. Well,
I might play a new one called Freemen.
Glenn's going to play a new tune called Freeman, and this tune is based on a film, I believe, or a book.
It was inspired by a film called Into the Wild, about a guy called Christopher McCandless, who just, after he graduated college, basically burnt his money, got rid of his car, and just took off, with his backpack, left his family and everyone, and just went traveling and got away from the system. All he wanted to do was be free and not have to do, everything that everyone wanted to do and fit in like that. He just wanted to travel and be free and explore, and I really feel that.
No more systematic slaves. Break the cycle. Mr. Glenn Herbert with Freeman. Enjoy.
I'm not a tree, but I cannot leave. My borders are closed, far notice. All seems strange to me. Don't know what to believe. I need to go. Jump on a plane, straight out of here. Into the world I love so dearly now. Can't wait to see it all. Can't wait to see it now. All I ever wanted to be was the free man. Is all I ever wanted to see was the whole world. I don't want to sit around here and be tied down. Is all I ever wanted to be was a free man. Oh. Hard to chase these dreams when you can't leave the vicinity. Bodies are closed, further notice. I wanna fly away, straight out of here on a plane to the world I love right now. I can't wait to see it all. All I ever wanna be is a free man. It's all I ever wanted to see was the whole world. I don't wanna sit around here and be tied down. Cause all I ever wanted to be was a free man.
Oh yeah, what a bloody beautiful song. Mr. Glenn Herbert with Freeman. I really enjoyed that. So how long ago did you write that little ditty, mate?
Well,
I really love your tentacles here, brother.
I have 8.
You have really nice tentacles.
Thank you. That's well.
Hey, and I've just quickly got to say, I love the setting here. What's going on with the backdrop and that sort of stuff? It's like we've wandered into a chapel in Japan.
Chapel in Japan, brother. Yeah. Well, this is actually Japanese-based art. No, it's not really. I bought it off eBay, I think. But I really like it. It's a big elephant, and I love elephants, you know.
Oh, so there's no magical story that goes with it. It just looks really bloody cool.
I like elephants. And I like octopuses. Can you not say that?
I can see that. But look,
No.
I've been loving this chat. I've got a few more questions for you now before we wind down. First of all, I understand you just got back from Thailand when these nationwide lockdowns were really kicking into action. It sort of put everything on pause for a little bit. But what's the 12-month plan for Glenn Herbert and Beautiful Cartel? But more importantly, is that the word?
Importantly, that's definitely the word. We have had a few drinks.
I apologise about that. We can edit that bit out, can't we?
No, we leave that in. That's great.
What's the 12-month plan for Glenn Herbert? So not just musically.
Oh man,
What's happening next for you, Mister?
well, I do. Mr. Octopus has to do some things. He has to finish up some things. So I've got to get this album Freemen out. So everything stopped me in my tracks with the Corona stuff. So I've got to move on that and try and release that around maybe July, August. But it's going to be hard to release that without being able to do a CD launch at, say, a pub or somewhere, because hey, release a CD and then get everyone to come to the launch to know the music when Rona says 10 people in a pub at a time. So at the moment, I'm wanting to release that, but I'm getting to the point where I need to be able to, do a proper gig. So finish it up the best I can. I need to finish up all my acting credentials and put them together, get a proper resume sorted out for my acting film stuff. I've worked on a film set a while ago for Banged Up Abroad, National Geographic, for a guy called Mick O'Shea, who's an absolute legend, a guy from Kalgoorlie, who's my very good friend now, well, I hope.
But shout out to you, Mick.
You're a good guy, man. You helped me see things a lot differently, dude. So I'm still following what he's doing, because he's given me some really good opportunities in the film industry, because I've just, I guess, had the goal to ask him and then keep pushing at it. I got to work on a Banged Up Abroad set and be the casting director. If you're ever on Nat Geo channel, I think you can find it there. The episode is called Korean Ecstasy King, and it came out in January and February this year.
Is that where you got the hat?
No. I wish I could say yes, but no. So that's already out. So you can see that again, Korean Ecstasy King. I got to be the casting director in that, so it's been lovely. I've been an actor in anticipation, and I got to win an award there, and then so all these things are just kind of adding up to me.
Glenn, before we finish
There's so much to go on.
Before we finish up now, there's something I've really got to touch on. I'm also blessed to have heard the songs on a second album. I believe it's going to be your second release for Beautiful Cartel. It's an acoustic album. You've been recording it with Ryan Pierce at Savage Studios on it, including Tuesday. Can you tell us a bit about this album and what your plans are surrounding this acoustic Beautiful Cartel masterpiece?
Well, it started out very heavily, and we started getting a lot of the tracks down, 7 or 8. I'm going to have to finish this up because I don't think we're going to have much time on the film here. It's going to cut us. But basically, I just wanted to go back over all the old songs and some of the new stuff I'm doing acoustically and put them together as kind of like an almost unplugged sounding album that was easy enough to record after the first one, Freemen, being so epically crazy on all levels, using so many different instruments and different samples and stuff to get that together. I wanted to strip back and get something really simple and about my vocals and the way I put things together.
Well, look, Glenn, it's no secret. I'm a massive fan of everything you do, and it's a pleasure to be your friend. Thanks for stopping by to have a chat at your house. So here in Mandurah. So,
I stop by a lot here.
So look, it was a pleasure driving up here, having a bit of a chat to you about Freemen, anticipation and everything that you do. Mr. Glenn Herbert, I've been Metal Ed. Over and out. Peace.